Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So we're talking about how to get a seller to how to convince a seller to accept your offer. So first, I'm going to talk about how, just in context of if you're just looking to buy a house for yourself. Then I'm going to talk about context of how I operate when you're trying to buy investment property from a seller that contacted you via marketing, that reached out to you, or you reached out to them. And then if you stick to the end, I'm going to talk to you about how to sort of protect yourself if you use the tactics that I'm telling you to use. telling you to use. Let me get water. Jeez Louise, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Apologize. Okay. So if you're looking to buy a house and you want to convince a seller to accept your offer, one of the major tactics you can use is to say that it's all cash. Now, understand what that means and what it doesn't mean. A lot of people think, well, if I need to go get a mortgage and I take an offer all cash, I'm lying. All cash only means, it really only means one thing. It means that you won't have a mortgage contingency in your contract. Now, obviously, you don't want to make an offer all cash if you're not 100% sure you can get a mortgage. So I would highly recommend you speak to a mortgage professional and you really give him all the information, all your income information, all your asset information, have him run your credit, and then say, what's a number that you feel comfortable that I'll have no problem getting a loan on, and what loan to value would that be? So I was in the mortgage business for 17 years. He might say something like, you can probably qualify for $400,000 as long as it's up to 80% of the purchase price. So now you can get a $500,000 house and you'll have no problem getting a loan. But you want it to be sure. Now, most people go and get a pre-approval. It's a very, very superficial approval. Usually it means that that the mortgage guy ran your credit. He's taking your word for it on your income and your assets. You might want to show him them, just so they completely understand what your financial situation is. Those are really the only things that might affect your ability to get a mortgage. Now, also, if you're buying a property, you got to hope that everything in it works. Not everything, but the appliances work. Sorry. I don't know what happened to my throat. The appliances work, the bathrooms work, the kitchen works. The roof isn't leaking, that kind of thing. So those are things. So you could say that you're going all cash. All that means, you still could get a mortgage if you're buying a property all cash. All that means is if for some reason you can't get a mortgage, you don't have an out on the contract. But to a lot of sellers, it's a big deal. And I have absolutely 100% bought properties and advised people who have ended up buying properties for less than the highest offer, because they were confident they were going to be able to get financing, or I was confident I was going to get financing, and I did not make it contingent on me getting that financing. So that is one of the best ways. Another way, I would say, is if the house seems like it's in good condition, you can waive. So this is in New York. Now understand, outside of New York, what happens is people go to contract very quickly. A contract takes place between a buyer and a seller. That's not what happens in New York. A contract in New York takes place between a seller's attorney and a buyer's attorney. And in New York, after you agree on a price, an inspection is done. One of the tactics you can use in New York, in other states, there's some kind of inspection contingency where it gives you time after contract. But in New York, the inspection gets done before the contract. So you can say, I waive my inspection. You could say that. Now I'll tell you, listen, if the house is relatively new and seems like it's in good shape, an inspection in many situations is going to be more trouble. I'm sorry. Whoop. An inspection in many situations is going to be more trouble than it's worth. Now, what do I mean? Inspectors' jobs are to find problems. Inspectors are never going to walk in and go, everything's fine. They're always going to have issues. If the house is relatively new, their issues they're going to find are going to be relatively minor, but they're always going to find things. And those things, to a lot of new people who are buying, make them nuts. They make them crazy. Sorry, I'm taking a pill. So, again, an inspection is there to protect you, right, from some kind of major issue that you didn't realize might happen. But if you're pretty confident the house is relatively new and things are good, you can waive the inspection, right? Or you can say, listen, I'm going to get an inspection, but I'm not going to ask you to make any repairs. So if you go and you're not the highest offer to a seller, and you say, listen, I may get an inspection, but I'm not going to ask you to do anything. I'm all cash. Your offer is going to appear significantly better to a seller than a lot of other offers. Now, as an investor, all my contracts are no contingency whatsoever, right? I have no outs. Every contract I go into, I either have to assign it to another buyer, or I have to close on it, right? And that's really one of the main reasons why I buy properties, right? Because I go in, sometimes the properties cannot be financed, they're in terrible condition, and sometimes there's a time issue, but they know that they're going to sell to me, and there's certainty involved because I'm not going to change the price on them, and I am going to close, or they're going to get their money. Sometimes I'm going to assign it, but they're going to get the money that we agree on. And that's really how this business works, right? We are providing certainty and convenience in return for some kind of discount on the price. It's really that simple. Obviously, the question is how much, and it depends on the situation. But the truth is, that's really what goes on. We provide certainty and convenience in exchange for money, right? Which is the same as every single transaction that you're ever going to go through. Right? I compare it very often to a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You're paying $6 or $7 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks, where the ingredients cost 20 cents, because you want the certainty and convenience that it provides, that Starbucks provides. You know it's going to be there. You don't have to buy coffee grinding machines. You don't have to deal with all that stuff. And the truth is, that's how it works. You know, you're technically getting ripped off, right? You're paying a lot more for a cup of coffee than the coffee costs, and the water and the cup and the stirrer, but you're doing it for the certainty and convenience that Starbucks provides. So, question really is, how do you protect yourself, right? So I'm going to say something that may be controversial, but the truth is, until contracts are signed, nobody's obligated to do anything. So I'm not telling you to do this, right? But if you're not sure you're going to buy the property, but if you wanted to protect yourself but get your offer accepted, you could say, hey, I'm all cash. I'm going to do it. I may do an inspection, but I'm not going to ask you to make any repairs. And then at that point, it's locked up. Now in New York, and this is the only state in the union that has this situation, there could be a period of time easily of between a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes it's a month, between when an offer is accepted and when the contracts are signed. It is possible, and it's happened to me unfortunately many times, where someone agrees to pay a price on something I'm selling, and then will simply change their mind, right? And so people will be angry at me when I say to someone, I accept your offer when I'm selling a property. I'll accept your offer, but I'm going to continue to market the property until contracts are signed. They start going bananas. What? You're not a man of your word. We shake, once I shake hands, it's my word. But the truth is, if I wasn't burned so many times by people who had lied to me like that, I might feel for them, but I don't. So I've had situations where a buyer said to me, oh, I'm on my way to the bank to get the check and I'm going to my attorney, and then I've never heard from them again. Or I've had people say, this is a done deal, and then a week later I'll get a text from their, or an email from their attorney saying, sorry, buyers decided to change their minds. So until contracts are signed, you do not have any obligation to buy, and the seller has no obligation to sell. That's the truth. So if you had some kind of doubt, you could say, hey, I'm going to do an inspection, but I'm not going to ask you to make any repairs. And if the inspector shows something that says, the inspector says, hey, this house is falling apart, you could walk away. You can just say goodbye. And then the guy will go, what do you mean? We had a deal. And you could say, yeah, I changed my mind. And there's absolutely no legal recourse he has against you whatsoever until contracts are signed. Understand very clearly, though, in New York, once contracts are signed, you cannot get out of this, right? I mean, he may allow you to, Consensually, you can. So theoretically, you have a deal signed, you change your mind. The guy says, I got a higher offer. You can say, you know what do you want to take that higher offer? Because I may want to buy a different property. Guy says, yes, you're out. Obviously, it's not that simple, but if both sides agree consensually, you can get out of contract. But one side cannot get out of the contract without the other side's agreement. So just understand that. So you can have an offer accepted, drag them along for a couple of weeks, and if you change your mind, you could get out. I don't recommend that. I think it's a dishonest thing to do. But just please understand that accepted offer means nothing, zero. And if you're watching this and you think, oh, this guy is crazy, I promise you that if you haven't had a situation where one side backed out on you after an offer was accepted, then you really haven't done enough business. Because I've done a lot and I've had it happen to me a dozen times. So here's the story. The way to convince the seller to get your offer accepted is to offer him all cash and to offer him maybe no inspection contingency. But you still have time in New York to get out of the deal after that happens. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in my course that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you are interested in, what else are you interested in? One-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And please keep the comments coming. I go live 5 times a week. I really want more topics to talk about. There are no bad comments, so if it's a simple answer, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I just covered or covered in depth, I'll send you links to the videos. If it's something new, I'll do a video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.